Hello Year 11, welcome to Revision Week 7. In this week we're going to cover quite a few topics based on networks, including client-server and peer-to-peer, virtual networks and the cloud. Can you make sure please you have revision sheet 6 in front of you from your revision pack. This is the sheet we are going to be completing today, revision sheet 6. Can you find this for me now and then continue the video when you're ready? Okay, assuming you've got the pack, let's have a look. So we looked at the different types of LANs and WANs in the previous video and the hardware. However, regardless of whatever topology, whatever hardware, there are two main types of networks that you need to be aware of. These are peer-to-peer and client-server. What are the difference? Okay, so a client-server is a network that is managed by a server. There is a server computer that manages the clients. Okay, there's our server up the top there, and it manages our client computers down here. The clients send requests to the server for things such as logging on or files or the internet, and then the server responds. Okay, things like files and software, logging on, accessing devices like printers, and accessing files on the network. So the server is the powerful computer, and the clients are the computers which you work on and send requests. What's good about it? Well, it's easy to keep track of your files because all of your files are stored on the server. It's easy to do backups because all the files are stored on the server. It's easy to manage security because the server is in control of all the security. And it's easy to install software because the server can send software to all the computers. What's bad about it? Well, it's more expensive to set up because you've got the expense of the server. You need to employ IT specialists to look after the network. And the network depends on the server. If the server goes down, the whole network will go down. Okay, the opposite. What's a peer-to-peer then? Well, a peer-to-peer is a network where there is no single computer in charge. There is no central server. All the computers have equal status. You can see in this diagram here, there is no server in the middle. All the computers are connected to each other and they're all equal. It is not dependent on a server. So there's no one point where the network can break. However, there are more possibilities of data collisions when different people are accessing different peer computers. You can even have a peer-to-peer network over the internet. Okay, it is decentralized. Good things about it? Well, it's easy to set up. There is no expensive hardware or difficult hardware like servers to set up. It is not dependent on a server. There's no server that can go offline and break. And you can still share files and devices like printers. However, because it's not centralized, there's no centralized management, it's harder to update, to install software, and to do security. And the network can also slow down with all the devices accessing each other. Okay, so have a look at this. Is this a peer-to-peer or is it a client server? Well, there's no central server in the middle, there's no server here, so it is a client server network. Sorry, it's a peer-to-peer network, apologies. Peer-to-peer. How about this one? Well, there's a central server in the middle here. There's a server in the middle and all the computers are connected to it. So this is a client server network. All the client computers around that side here are connected to the server. Okay, complete revision sheet 6, this part on the left right hand side here, client server networks and peer-to-peer. I want to know what the definition is of each and some advantages and disadvantages of peer-to-peer and client server. Take your time and then unpause the video and check on the next section. Okay, hopefully you've completed the sheet on this part here. So let's have a look. We've got client server, a network managed by a server where all the devices are connected to the server are clients. Easy to manage backups and files, easy to install update software, easy to manage security. Disadvantages, more expensive, need specialists, and the network depends on the server. Peer-to-peer, a network without a central server. All the devices have equal status. Easy to set up and maintain. Network does not rely on the server, and you can still share files and devices. No centralized management of services like backups and logins, and the network can slow down with different devices accessing each other. check, improve your answers now, please. Okay, hopefully you've checked that section. Let's move on. Okay, the next type of network I want to look at is virtual networks. Now, you don't need to know loads about this. Basically, I just need you to understand that a virtual network is a network that is entirely software based. It's run by software, and it's made by separating off part of the network to use as a virtual network for somebody else. Okay, it's as if you had maybe your own little personal network just for year 11 running on top of the network for the whole school. Each virtual network can have its own security, its own firewalls, its own logins. Okay, and you are sharing the same physical network, but each virtual network has its own security, its own logins, and things like that. So it's private. There is a special type of virtual network called a VPN, which you've probably heard of. This is a virtual private network. Okay, why is it private? Because all the data traveling on it is encrypted. All the data is encrypted. This is the type of network you would use to send data if you were logged on somewhere public, like in a cafe or somewhere where you think security might be an issue. That is a virtual network, but all the data is encrypted, so it's private. Okay. Checking your answers, please, or writing down the answers here. What is a virtual network? What are the advantages? Try to give me 2 advantages. And what is different about a VPN? What is different about a VPN? Off you go. Okay, checking your answers. Let's have a look. A virtual network, a network that is entirely software based. It's made using software. And it's made by partitioning or separating off some of the physical network's bandwidth. So it's sharing and separating off some of the bandwidth of the main network to make a virtual network. Each virtual network can have its own separate security and logins. And finally, a VPN is a network where all the data is encrypted. It's encrypted so people cannot see it or read it as it's being transmitted. Okay, and the final thing today, the cloud. What is the cloud? Well, really simply, the cloud is using the internet to store files and applications. So using the internet to store your files and applications, it can look like it's on your computer. You can access it like it's on your computer. However, actually, it's somewhere else being stored on the internet. Okay? Good things about it? Well, you can access your files from any device that is connected to the internet. It's connected to the cloud. So you don't even have to be on your one computer. You can connect any device. It's easy to increase how much storage. If you want more storage, you just simply ask for it or pay for it, extra storage. You do not have to buy expensive hardware. You do not have to pay specialists to run it. And the host, the people that run it, provide all the security and the backups. Bad things, however, bad points. You need an internet connection. Without an internet connection, you cannot access your files or programs. You trust the provider, the host, for the security. You're trusting whoever it is, whether it's Google or OneDrive, you're trusting them to do the security and backups. Because it's on the internet, it is vulnerable to hackers. It is possible that hackers could access and break into it. It's also unclear who owns the data because it could be stored anywhere in the world. And if you use a lot, you might have large subscription fees where you have to pay extra for the more data you use. So lots of good things and bad things. Okay, so very simply, what is the cloud? Definition? Give me at least 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages. Write your answer now and then unpause the video to check. Okay, checking your answer. What is the cloud? Well, it's using the internet to store files and applications. Using the internet to store files and applications. Good things, you can access it from any device with an internet connection. It's easy to increase how much storage you have, and there is no expensive hardware or IT staff needed. However, you need an internet connection to access your files. Without it, you cannot access them. You depend on the host for security and backups, and it is vulnerable to hackers because it is hosted on the internet, so hackers could potentially access it and break into it. Check your answers now. Okay, hopefully you've checked it and unpause the video. Well, now you've completed this sheet, all 3 sections should be completed on the sheet. Your final task for this week is, if you go to Learn CUMD, you are looking for revision quiz 7. Okay, as normal, try the question, click check. If it is not correct, try the question again and see if you can improve and correct the answer. Do this now, please, and this will be checked in lesson next week. Good luck.